Bienvenido al banco de 16 bits. Recientemente fuimos a Mallorca de vacaciones. Palma es la capital donde hay muchas tiendas interesantes y una gran cantidad de tiendas de videojuegos usadas. Nos divertimos mucho un día. En la ciudad encontramos muchas cosas interesantes. Disfruta. So this place, first place, meant to be open now as you can see on the wall. We got there about 11:15, closed. Next place was open, yeah, VideoJocs. This is a really interesting place, full of just gaming stuff. Like, look, there's Dragon Ball Z visor, you know, so you can check someone's power level. And yeah, just loads of gaming. You know, I really hate this thing. I really hate this Lucille thing. It's just, I think this is disgusting. If you've seen The Walking Dead, you know, I don't watch that. I read the comics. What they do with that baseball bat is absolutely disgusting. And to make a replica baseball bat, I think is abhorrent. It's a murder weapon. Like, not just a murder weapon, like a mutilation weapon. It's disgusting. Anyway, PlayStation bag, pretty cool. Really expensive, like €45. Yeah, you have to really like PlayStation for that. And of course, after the figures, I think down there is Attack on Titan, and there's a whole wall of Funko Pops. Ugh, Pops. Hate, I just don't get them. Hate's too strong of a word. Like, I just don't want them. Why? He's got these like Dragon Ball Z and sort of geeky woodcuts. And on the far wall here, we've got loads of second-hand games. So, you know, there's PlayStation 3 here, Tron, Payday 2, Devil May Cry, some Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, Alan Wake for Xbox 360. And then there's a whole... sorry about the noise, they're drilling this weekend, so pretty loud. Spider-Man on UMD. I mean, yeah, there was a great selection of really interesting stuff here, and this shop is kind of typical for the kind of things we find throughout this whole video. There you go, second-hand PS1, €35. I think that's a bit pricey, but again, these are shop prices. So, you know, if you're looking on eBay or you're looking on Facebook Marketplace, you're going to see lower prices just because, you know, the shop needs to make a markup. There's some like Game Boy bootlegs there, you can just about see. And then some PS1 stuff down the bottom here, and I think some more PSP stuff. Nothing super rare, nothing like super surprising. You know, everything where you expect it to be. Yeah. On this side, we've got Mega Drive, Dreamcast, Master System games. Sorry about the glasses; they're not massively good in low light levels. You know, if I had some money, I'd buy some better glasses. What you can't see, can you see it? No, there's a Road Avenger for the Mega CD was just there. It was a decent price. It was not that expensive. And I was surprised actually. I thought that game would be more expensive than it actually is, but no, it's quite reasonably priced on eBay already. So, yeah, there's cool like Mario stuff. There's this cool Mario jigsaw puzzle, like World 1 puzzle. I don't think it's the whole level. I think it is just that end screen. And that's that for VideoJocs. So just up the road was this place, comic book shop. I was really surprised to see that the Punisher is called El Castigator. You know, he castigates people. He roams the street castigates the guilty. Yeah, so I thought, you know, I'm going to pop in this comic book shop and have a look. And one of the things I didn't really appreciate is that almost everything English language is translated into Spanish. I thought a comic book shop would have some Spanish titles, but they had had comics that had been released only a few months ago that had already been translated. And I guess in the production process, this is something I didn't know. In the production process, they're translating those comics as they're producing the English ones. Because from what you get a lot of is like humanoids and European comics. There's a load of like Jodorowsky stuff in here, Milo Manara, very racy Manara, Mobius stuff. Oh look, the Manara collection. Comics aren't just for kids, especially when they're full of tits and cocks. There's more Manara up there as well. Yeah, it's just like, it's pretty cool. Everything's in Spanish, so unless you know Spanish, you're probably not going to be buying stuff. But yeah. Yeah, so I was just checking. I was like, "Oh, is this Trees trade paperback in Spanish?" And it is. And then all the Ludlam books on the shelf were in Spanish. All these single issues they have are in Spanish. Interestingly, the Punisher Max is not called Castigator Max. In fact, it's confusing because some titles are Punisher and some titles are El Castigator. It's like, oh right. Slipcase edition of Lost Girls. Oh look, and it's Lucille again on the cover of that Walking Dead comic. I hate that thing. So up next is a cash converters. Cash converters, we have these in the UK as well. They're pawn shops essentially. This one had a load of cool shit in it. So in this case here, there's like a DS, some Game Boy Advance games, calculator. You need a calculator. Yeah, a lot of gaming stuff here, like more DS's. Then there's consoles just above those. Game Boy Advances over there, PS Vitas, PSPs. Original PlayStation, that was €25. Looked like it didn't have any cables with it and stuff. PlayStation 4s. And then this is what I'm interested. Well, not this stuff. Loose DS games, yeah. But yeah, loose things I find really interesting. Like I just want to rummage, really. Loose CDs, not so much. But yeah, there's a whole host of PlayStation 1 stuff, SNES, N64, Saturn, Game Boy Advance games. And you can't see, the camera's not good enough, but behind those Game Boy Advance games were a whole load of Amstrad CPC tapes, like a whole library of it. And CPC is a British computer made by Amstrad. Amstrad also bought Sinclair, and they produced the Spectrum as well. But yeah, and they were big in Spain as well. Amstrad and Sinclair had a big presence in Spain. The Spectrum sold very well in Spain as well. There's actually a Spanish version of it. I think it was built in Spain or built for the Spanish market. I'm not sure. Loads of PS2 games, loads of games all over the place, really. And then peripherals and cables and loose games and a whole box of loose discs. Like Wii, is that a Wii wand attachment? They made a lot of shit for the Wii, didn't they? I mean literal shit. I have that exact same joystick in the office. Like, where is it? It's around somewhere. I can't see it at the moment. Books and DVDs. PlayStation 2 demo disc. I spotted a load of these as well. In an upcoming video, we'll be at a flea market in Spain, in Mallorca, and yeah, they had load of those I spotted as well. So and now we just got like kind of electronics. Fishing gear, motorcycle gear, and this stuff is kind of par for the course for cash converters. Although, you know, the cash converters in the UK tend to be way smaller and have just a lot less selection. And this place really had almost, you know, everything. There's bikes, electronics, telescopes, food mixers, you know, random cables and stuff, digital cameras, old camcorders. There's an old camcorder up there, like a VHS or a high 8 camcorder. Wait. Yeah, so we step outside of cash converters and just take a look in the window. And in the window, they've got a load of cool stuff as well. There's like Scalextrics up there. And if you know, I'm always on the lookout for Scalextrics. And then they're putting up a big display of video game stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So this is a CEX, and we have CEX in the UK as well. And this one was a little bit disappointing. Not a load of stuff in this CEX. I mean, there is a load of stuff, but it's all newer. You know, DS, Xbox 360 is probably as old as we're going. Down the bottom there, you can see GameCube controllers, some Super Nintendo and N64 games, but not as really as many as I see in the UK. So about 2 years ago, maybe a little less, CEX started taking retro stuff. So before they didn't used to take it. You know, anything older than say the 360, they were not interested in. But then they saw the market was picking up and they started getting that stuff in. So now more and more CEX not only is taking the retro stuff, but is setting the price for it in the UK as well. CEX is setting the benchmark for when people put things on eBay. They're looking at the CEX prices. So the prices of all the retro stuff has kind of been uplifted by CEX deciding to take it and put more exposure on it. Which is partly unfortunate. They had a good Vita selection. Like, I don't know, I kind of went the opposite direction of what everyone else did with the Vita. So when it kind of reached its end of life about 2 years ago now, I started looking for digital versions of games that were really cheap and then trading in my physical copies. You know, and actually not breaking even, but making a little bit of money there as well. Thanks, CEX. Then I think I used all that trading credit to buy a new 3DS. Yeah, I'm a big handheld guy. I like handhelds. Yeah, if you've seen my Game Gear handheld, Game Gear Raspberry Pi video, you know, that's why I do that. I really like a handheld Raspberry Pi. I think they're cool. Don't really like I like the Game Gear form factor better than the Game Boy form factor. It's bigger in my massive meat claws. Feels nicer. Okay, yeah, more the same stuff we saw coming in. Headphones, Beats. Oh, Beats headphones. Yeah, so that's CEX, and just take another look in the window. And mostly phones, mostly tablets, some controllers, and some Switch stuff as well. A Switch Joy-Con and a Switch. Actually, there's a Switch. So this place was just next to it, and it's called Frikers. So of course we had to go in. So this is very much like the first place we went into. It's less video games and more sort of like just anime and video game related merchandise, and obviously Funko Pops everywhere. Plushies in the back, Doraemon, and that rabbit is from Silent Hill. Silent Hill 3, is it? Yeah, Silent Hill 3 with a girl in it. At the fun fair. Dragon Ball Z. When your Harry Potter robes, you know, cheap looking polyester Harry Potter robes. Here it is. Okay, all this new stuff is super expensive. Like, oh, you want a Sailor Moon purse? It's €30. You want an NES Cart backpack? That's €40. Want some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle underpants? Yeah, and always have a sneaky look in the back. I believe there was a Walter White doormat on that shelf there. So yeah. Had some Rick and Morty like mini plushes and Sonic and stuff. There's really cool stuff. I think it's because New York is an island. Just I think things are more expensive than they would be on the mainland. So maybe if you're ever in Barcelona or Seville or Madrid, those would be good places to go game hunting. Spanish really like this stuff. There's a big market for there, and I think retro sustained longer there. It's sustained longer there than it had in the UK. It really did die off in the UK for a while, and then has come back recently. And again, it's all down to the Americans and their massive interest in everything you see on YouTube. Obviously, and one of the reasons I'm on YouTube and I'm doing these videos is because of all the guys in America, like Game Sack and the Game Chasers and Pat the NES Punk and those guys who go out and look for games, and Metal Jesus as well. All these people who kind of promote games and stuff. So this place was by far the jewel in the crown of retro gaming that we found. So this is called Start Games. Everything is linked in the description as well. I'll link all the shops in the description. It was super dark in there, so I had to boost the levels on the video. That's why it's really grainy and kind of not good. Not a lot of lights in the back and stuff, but this place was wall to ceiling, used games, and that's really what I love to see. I love to see this. This is like, and I take a look in the back there, and I'm like, I'm going in that back room, but first of all, I need to go around this whole space and just check it all out. And again, it's cabinets full of stuff. It's like, you could spend hours here rummaging. Obviously, I didn't have hours. I had to go back and stuff, but I could have easily come back to this place another day. It was awesome. So yeah, just piles and piles of games everywhere, and not just games, like action figures and game merchandise and loads of wheels, steering wheels. I think people buy wheels and then realize they're a pain in the ass because you have to have a whole table set up and stuff to really use them. You have to kind of set a table and plonk the wheel on it and stuff, and I think people just realize, they buy a wheel, they use it a few times, they're like, I don't want this anymore, it's a pain, and they get rid of them. And I see them everywhere, and really cheap sometimes as well. Load of PlayStation 2 stuff. Don't know why I was interested in that racing bundle. In fact, I think all of those games there are all sports games. They're just a whole tub of sports games, the whole thing. This is a grabber machine that they've ripped the guts out of and just stuffed with toys. It doesn't work as a grabber anymore. So here we go into the back room, and it's super dark in here. Even with the video, these glasses I'm using, they're not that good. There's not a lot of dynamic range in them. So when I boost the levels like this, that's pretty much as far as they'll go. Any further, and we're just washing out. But they had this tiny back room, and in it was like a pinball machine and an arcade machine there. Sadly, nothing was free play, so and I didn't have any coins. So. And this, I think, this bit with the books and the CDs and the DVDs, I reckon this is how they got started. They got started doing that sort of stuff, and then I reckon a few years ago, or maybe even a decade ago, they started doing the game thing as well. Plush Mario. Yeah, and there's some like electronics up there as well, like a Super 8 like editing thing. You know, so you put the tapes, the film in and edit it. Some Game Gear stuff. You know, I'm always on the lookout for Game Gear stuff. Unfortunately, they were all common titles, which was sad. And they had a Game Gear. They had a Game Gear for sale as well in a cabinet that you probably won't be able to see because it's too dark. But yeah, it was like €70, and €70 to me is the price of a refurbished Game Gear. So that's the capacitor's completely replaced, and it tested and made sure it's working. And then we're probably talking about 150 to 200 euros for a Game Gear with the screen replaced. That's the McWill screen, and then I've got one of those, and it's fantastic. It's like a completely new console, and I highly recommend it. Of course, I fitted that myself, obviously. I'm not sure why I'm staring so much at this Harry Potter. Down on the bottom was some Famicom multi-carts. And then a whole rack of PlayStation 1 games. Yeah, so there's some controllers. And again, I'm sorry it's so dark. I couldn't do anything about that. The only option would have been to walk around with a light on my head. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not asking permission to film in these places. They don't know I'm wearing the glasses. And like, I just prefer it that way. Really, I don't want to have to go and ask everyone. I want to film in there. And I don't think I'm hurting these people's businesses. If anything, this is promoting their business, you know. So, but I just don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Pitch black now, can't see a thing. There's the Game Gear. There's the Game Gear I was talking about. Yeah, whole rack of Atari 2600 in the box. The prices on all this stuff, you know, wasn't. I mean, we're not talking amazing. We're talking like eBay plus, maybe 5 to 10%. Yeah, there's a N64 Pokemon Game Boy game sort of thing, and I saw someone had found one. I've got one around somewhere actually. Someone had found one and thought it would allow you to play Game Boy games on your N64, and it's not. It's just to copy over the Pokemon data from your Game Boy game into, I think it's Pokemon Stadium for the N64. So it only works on like two games. Walls and walls of stuff. It's one of those Namco sort of plug and plays. I can't even see. What are we looking at? Atari Lynx game, maybe? Can't even see. N64 stuff. Donkey Kong 64. Oh yeah, some Spectrum games. There was Make a Chip for the Sinclair, which, you know, is one of the most boring things ever made. Whoa, blown out. Yeah, there's some stuff. There's some cool stuff up above the counter as well. I think it's where they keep the stuff they really want. There's a NES action set there, if you can see it. There was a Super Scope boxed. So that was Start Games. This is the last place. This is Moon Games, and annoyingly, like the first place, it's closed, even though it's supposed to be open. So all we get is a look inside the window. So if you found this video useful, please like and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. It's 16BitBench. You know, I had a lot of fun making this video. Going around Palma was great. You know, Mallorca's super interesting that they had this kind of stuff. So yeah, I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.